Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into something absolutely crucial today, literally the heartbeat of great reading and writing. We're talking about how genres shape meaning. Now, if you happen to be tracking with the text standards for genre comparison, this is exactly what you need. We're going to look closely at the hidden mechanics of what makes us feel certain ways when we read. By the time we're done here, you won't just be reading words on a page anymore. No way. You'll actually be decoding the whole emotional architecture behind them. To get us started, consider this absolutely beautiful scripture from Proverbs chapter 25, verse 11. It says, "A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and settings of silver." I just love this because it perfectly sets up the metaphorical journey we're taking today. You see, carefully chosen words aren't just, dry data points. They were crafted pieces of art. When an author places the absolute perfect word into the perfect sentence, it's like setting a gold apple into silver. Understanding how authors pull this off doesn't just make us smarter readers, it actually makes us wiser people who can truly appreciate the power of communication. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the power of words, move into mood versus tone, look at some genre case studies, test your knowledge, and wrap up with education and morality. All right, kicking things off with section 1, the power of words. So why even bother paying such close attention to how a writer builds a sentence? Well, because it literally dictates your entire experience. Think about a single topic for a second. Let's go with a rainstorm. In a suspense novel, a storm is terrifying, right? The wind is howling, the lights are flickering, shadows are growing long. But take that exact same storm and drop it into a children's story, and suddenly it's hopeful. The clouds part to reveal this vibrant, beautiful rainbow. Or maybe in a nature essay, it's peaceful. It's gently nourishing the earth. The core topic didn't change at all, but the words totally did. Moving right along to section 2, mood versus tone. Okay, if you have ever found yourself confusing these two terms, don't worry, we are going to solve that right now. The crucial differentiator here is actually pretty simple. Mood is all about the reader. It's how the text makes you feel. Tone, on the flip side, is all about the author. It's how the author feels about the subject. Think of it like this. Mood is the atmosphere you walk into, while tone is the attitude the writer is projecting out. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is breaking down exactly how authors build these emotional layers, because they definitely don't do it by magic. They use highly specific tools. To create mood, they manipulate things like imagery, pacing, and setting. If they want you to feel anxious, they might throw in short, choppy sentences and put you in a dark, claustrophobic setting. To establish tone, however, authors rely on word choice, sentence style, and focus. An author writing with a sarcastic tone is going to choose very, very different words than an author writing with a deeply respectful tone. To really help you master this, I want you to become a literary detective. Whenever you approach a new text, use these 3 guiding questions as your framework. Number 1, what emotions does the text make you feel? Boom, that finds your mood. Number 2, what attitude does the author show toward the subject? That reveals the tone. And number 3, how does the genre affect these choices? Honestly, if you ask yourself these 3 questions, you will never misread a text's emotional intent again. Up next is section 3, genre case studies. Let's see how comparing mood and tone across different genres reveals the massive impact of style. On one hand, let's say you have a nature poem that describes a forest as whispering with ancient secrets. It's mystical, it's reverent. You can almost feel the damp moss under your feet. But on the other hand, take a scientific field report of that exact same forest. It simply lists the plant species and the soil data. It is entirely neutral, it's perfectly objective. So why do these completely different approaches work? Because the author's intent dictates the style, and that directly shapes your experience as the reader. The poem is designed to invite an emotional connection. It desperately wants you to feel the wonder of nature. The field report, yeah, it has zero interest in your feelings. It just wants factual precision. The tone and mood align perfectly with the purpose of the genre. And this brilliantly illustrates how a change in medium changes everything. Think about a written biography of a historical leader versus the big Hollywood movie adaptation of their life. The written biography relies on respectful, formal language to convey the historical facts. The movie adaptation, however, it's bringing in swelling, dramatic music and sweeping slow-motion scenes. You see, formatting completely shifts the emotional delivery. The written biography uses its words to establish a very serious, credible tone about that leader's legacy. The film, which operates in a visual and auditory genre, uses really powerful sensory tools to inspire a dramatic mood in the viewer. It's the exact same life story, but an entirely different reader and viewer experience. Let's look at a third case study. Let's compare an editorial and a short story about a town power outage. The newspaper editorial uses sharp, critical language, heavily disapproving of the city's power grid, which creates a very tense, frustrated mood. But what about a short story about the exact same outage? It might playfully focus on a dad trying to cook canned beans over a single candle. The tone there is humorous, and the mood suddenly becomes lighthearted and cozy. So the ultimate takeaway here is that genre acts as the container. It shapes exactly how emotions and attitudes are presented. The rules of a newspaper editorial demand a totally different tone than the rules of a fictional short story. And that determines exactly how the author's attitude and your emotions will interact. Which brings us to Section 4, Test Your Knowledge. Okay, let's actively lock in what we've just learned. Mentally answer these as we go. Number 1, define mood and tone. Remember, reader versus author. Number 2, how can two genres create entirely different moods with the exact same topic? Think back to that rainstorm we talked about. And number 3, how does word choice directly influence tone? If you can answer these, you have completely grasped the core mechanics. Now I want to challenge you to actually apply these concepts to your own life. Question 4. Give an example of mood from a book you've read recently. How did the author make you feel? And question 5. Give an example of tone from a recent news article or a speech you've heard. What was the speaker's attitude? Seriously, when you start seeing mood and tone out in the wild, you realize they are literally everywhere. And finally, Section 5, Education and Morality. This is where we pull back and tie literary mastery into a much broader worldview. At the Heroes Smart Academy, the Godly Learner series intertwines biblical morality directly with education. Because, let's face it, skills require a framework. What is the point of being incredibly smart and knowing exactly how to masterfully manipulate mood and tone if you just go out and make bad choices that hurt yourself or others? True intelligence absolutely must be anchored in strong morality. The book of Romans, chapter 8, verses 6 through 7 says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." This outlines an incredible promise of peace for those who keep their thoughts spiritual. It really emphasizes that engaging with wholesome, good content brings a peaceful mind. So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Now that you understand the true power of words, now that you can see how tone and mood literally shape our reality, will you use your understanding of words to build a spiritually focused mind and make wise choices? You have the tools right now to be a brilliant reader, so go out and use them to be a wise and impactful person. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this explainer today. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you next time.